In the post-apocalyptic world of Fallout, surviving isn't just about finding food and water. It's also about finding the right weapons to defend yourself. One of the most iconic weapons in the Fallout series is the Fat Man, a portable mini-nuke launcher that brings an incredible amount of destruction to the battlefield. The M42 Fat Man launcher is one of Fallout's most iconic and fearsome weapons. First introduced in Fallout 3 in 2008, the Fat Man has gained a reputation for its devastating firepower and shock and awe capabilities. The Fat Man is named after the real-life Fat Man atomic bomb that was dropped on Nagasaki during the Second World War. This historical reference is fitting due to the weapon's ability to launch mini-nukes. These miniature nuclear warheads deliver devastating explosions capable of taking out even the toughest enemies in the game. The idea behind the Fat Man is simple, yet terrifying. Why settle for bullets when you can unleash a miniature nuclear explosion? In lore, the Fat Man was developed at Fort Strong near Boston, Massachusetts. With development starting in February 2076, the Fat Man project would have the goal of ending the Alaskan conflict between the United States and China. A terminal entry records the logs of the officer in charge at Fort Strong. General Brock writes, "Things are starting to heat up overseas, so Washington is pushing us to cut our project turnaround times in half. I told them that would be dangerous, but it seems like we don't have much of a choice. I've decided to split my staff into Alpha Team and Bravo Team so we can work on two projects at the same time. The manpower will be reduced, but I'm convinced that we'll still be able to maintain our new schedule. I'm going to put Alpha Team on the power armor and Bravo on the new M42 Fat Man launchers. The Fat Man would be made so that ground troops and small squads could single-handedly take out heavily fortified positions and entrenchments." A second terminal entry, this time from the point of view of one of the researchers, details more about the weapon and some early hiccups. "Things are getting tough around here. Brock has decided to split our men into two teams. I drew one of the short straws, so I ended up on the M42 Fat Man launcher team while most of my buddies are sitting pretty upstairs with the T-51B suits. I can't even begin to describe what a ridiculous idea the M42 is. A man-portable mini-nuke thrower that a trooper in the field is supposed to deploy at close range. I've been poring over the schematics, and I have no idea how we're going to get this thing to throw a warhead far enough not to kill the soldier unlucky enough to be stuck with these death traps." From early on, the Fat Man had its share of issues, the most pertinent being how to launch the warhead far enough as to not have the weapon's user be caught in the blast radius. One potential solution to this problem involved weight stripping the mini WMD as much as possible. Still, this failed to yield desirable results. Instead, however, a different solution was proposed. Rather than making the mini-nuke lighter, the development team would instead make the firing mechanism stronger, more capable of slinging mini-nukes. A second research report discusses this development. "We've stripped the warhead weight down as much as possible, but I think we're looking at this the wrong way. Instead of trying to reduce the warhead weight, we should try and amp the power on the thrower itself. I know that means adding weight to an already heavy piece of ordnance, but I don't think we have any choice." One of the guys suggested that we try magnetics to push the warhead through like a railgun, but the power pack would need to be the size of a suitcase. I'll keep picking away at this problem and see what I can turn up. Work on the Fat Man finally resulted in a breakthrough. Their firing issues just may have been solved. It was in December 2076 that a technician suggested implementing a subcharge into the mini-nuke to catapult the explosion through the air, similar to a mortar. The Fat Man would only have to accommodate a sort of rail system to guide the nuke. This would also give it the benefit of not emitting a smoke trail as to give away firing positions. Quite genius, really. 9 months and hundreds of test fires later, in September 2077, the M42 Fat Man launcher was finally ready to be shipped overseas. A final report from General Brock reads, "After a few design setbacks and the loss of one of our testing squads, we finally perfected the M42 launcher's firing mechanism. Washington has been riding me to wrap this project up, but with a weapon this potent, I was inclined to take my time. We've sent the launchers ahead to the supply yard in Mississippi, and we are just waiting for the go-ahead to ship the warheads wherever they need to go. Hopefully we can get those nukes out of here before the month is out. I don't feel comfortable sleeping 20 feet above enough nukes to reduce this island to ash." With an absolute ton of firepower behind them, the United States had hoped to come away with a sure victory over China in the Sino-American War. However, it would only be 1 month after the Fat Man project's completion that the Great War would bring an end to almost all of humanity. Its development is a prime example of the era's technological ambition, thirst for warfare, and disregard for the long-term consequences of humanity's unbridled progress. Now, in terms of design, the M42 Fat Man launcher came out to look like a large, bulky catapult with a distinctive rail arm that helps launch the mini-nuke. It's not a weapon you can easily carry around, but its impact makes it worth the effort. When you fire the Fat Man, you see a large arc as the mini-nuke travels through the air before detonating in a massive explosion. This makes it particularly effective against groups of enemies or heavily armored foes. While it might not have the highest damage per second of any weapon in the franchise, it is quite consistently one of the highest damaging weapons per trigger pull. Now, despite its great power, using the Fat Man comes with significant risks. The explosion radius is quite large, meaning that just like in the failed test fires, you can easily misfire the weapon and off yourself if you're not careful. Ensure that you're at a safe distance, or risk being caught in the blast. Its rarity also plays a part in the weapon's notoriety. Because full development finished so near to the date of the Great War, it didn't become very widespread across the nation. More often than not, Fat Man launchers can be found at pre-war military bases and the likes. Even more rare is the ammo for the weapon, as unlike traditional bullets, mini-nukes are usually only ever found alone or in small groups of 2 or 3. The scarcity of the weapon and ammo results in its increased post-war cap value. The launcher typically has a high price among merchants, and the mini-nukes are the most expensive ammo type in each of the games, not counting the fusion core. Still, since it was conceived, the Fat Man has always been a tool designed to change the course of battle. It's a rare find, and represents the hubris of man and their lust for power. And what's maybe most interesting of all, the Fat Man launcher is not too far from reality. Developed during the Cold War, the Davy Crockett weapon system was an American recoilless smoothbore gun designed to fire a nuclear warhead. Its ammo, the W-54, was the smallest nuclear weapon to have entered U.S. military service. Manned by a crew of 5, the Davy Crockett weapon would be intended for frontline combat and could be armed and fired within a matter of minutes. And even while the Davy Crockett payload was only a fraction of the Fat Man atomic bomb, the thought of having infantry teams crew dozens of these nuclear weapons is a haunting one for sure. While the weapon was deployed with U.S. Army forces from 1961 to 1971, the Davy Crockett weapon system never saw combat. A relief for all. And so what we're left with is one of the most iconic weapons of the Fallout franchise. The M42 Fat Man launcher's firepower, scarcity, and absurdity blends together, creating an equally memorable and terrifying weapon of mass destruction. When all else fails, the Fat Man reminds us that endless destruction is always an option. That's it from me today, folks. If you liked the video, be sure to share and subscribe. Join the Discord. Have a good rest of your day. Cheers.
I need a new gun. I want something that won't break. Something that will shoot forever. One of us had a fat man. I want one of those.